Hey everybody, Sam here.
And Angela, and welcome to our channel.
In this video, we're back in our raised bed garden we've been working on building and developing this year. This video is going to be all about our various garden irrigation, installation, techniques, and failure.
Let's go. So we have everything laid out that we have on hand. We may have to go to the store in a little bit to get a couple of other things to finish out what we need. But we're going to go ahead and lay everything out like on the ground so we can kind of see where everything's going to go and get ready to put it all together.
I've got some 1/2-inch poly pipe here. We're going to use this to do our main trunk lines. Run from the hydrant to each of the beds, but you know, as efficiently as possible. And then from there, we're going to change from poly pipe to drip tape, we think. The first step is to start laying this out, kind of give myself a rough outline, leaving extra so we can attach the fittings and adjust it as we need. For the 90-degree turns here at the bed, I've got a couple of these PEX pipe elbow fittings. They just clamp on and they guide the pipe into a 90-degree sweep. So I'll try these. This allows us to not have to use a fitting down here and at least saves one elbow fitting for somewhere up top where we need a tighter radius. Here's a look at the apparatus that I'm going to be hooking up to our hydrant. We have the actual hose connection here. This is what screws onto the hydrant. The first thing you see here is a sediment filter with a drain plug in the bottom. Then this white thing is a pressure reducer. It reduces whatever inlet pressure you've got down to 12 psi, which is what drip tape likes to have. Otherwise, you run the risk of blowing it up like a big balloon or causing a ton of leaks. You don't need a high pressure situation for this kind of irrigation. You just want to make sure you have a water flow, and this little guy keeps it safe.
That was a success, so we are going to go ahead and hook the drip tape up to the ones that we know are good and flushed out and check the other ones as we go.
We're here at our tomato bed. We have our drip tape. We have our little elbow sticking up. What I'm going to do is go ahead and attach the drip tape to this. Then we're going to take it around the bed. You guys will see that in a second. And then we're going to terminate. We're using drip tape in a different fashion in raised beds, but we have a ton of it on hand. You can see how big this roll is. We've had this roll, I think, for 3 years now, and we are just going to live with it for a while. So we're using it while we got it. But you just slide the drip tape over top of the elbow, The hardest thing is making sure you get it on far enough over the barb so that this green little collar will catch it. What I usually do is I twist right and left, push right and left, and kind of work it in there. It definitely does take a little bit of muscle, but you get it worked over top of the barb there. Then you can take this, I like to hold this in place, twist it down, and it locks it in right there on that barb. We tend to have good results with that.
Now what we're going to do is wrap the drip tape kind of in a U shape around all the plants. Then we go through and put landscape pins to hold the drip tape in place because it is going to kind of blow up and move a little bit. We want to keep it where it's at.
Now what we have to do is cut and terminate the drip tape. For that you need a pair of scissors and then also one of your drip tape ends. You want to cut it, make sure you don't have one of the little drip emitters in the area that you're going to fold over. Slide the collet on, fold it over, and lock it into place. You guys are going to see it now, and hopefully it'll make sense. Here at the end, we have emitters every 12 inches. So there's one here, and there's one here at my hand. I'm going to go about in the middle, just do a straight cut with scissors. I'm going to put my end on. You have a narrow end and a thick one. The narrow goes towards here. Then you want to do a fold, at least 2. I like to do 3 if I can fit it. Just like that. And then we lock it into place, slide it in here, pull it tight, and that's it. We've done the lower 4 beds because as we go this way, it does get higher in elevation. So let's go ahead and turn the water back on and make sure these drip tapes work and everything looks good. And then we'll continue on with our last 4 beds. That little test showed that our bins being 90 degrees is a little bit too tight for the drip tape. So we've got 2 options. One, what we're going to do right now. The other, we may buy some stuff to address it better. Option 1 we're going to do today, instead of making them hard 90 degree turns, we're going to kind of make kind of a 3-point turn type thing, maybe 45 degrees, whatever math equals up to be. And then in the long term, probably be best to get some more elbows, put them in place here so that we're fine. So we'll do what we can for now. But that's basically the concept in place. That one's quite a bit longer. Yeah. I'll trim it.
So while we really try to use what we have on hand, sometimes it doesn't work. We had set up all the irrigation and used drip tape in the beds, but the emitters on this drip tape are every 12 inches, and some of our plants are closer together than that. A lot of them are. And so we were finding that it wasn't really giving it a really good watering where it needed it the most. So we're going to have to kind of nix that idea and go with something a little bit more appropriate.
So what we purchased is basically miniature drip lines. This is a 1/4 inch tubing. It has emitters every 6 inch spacing, and this little guy, being super flexible, will allow us to snake around in around our plants and vegetables and water them everywhere we want to. We also picked up some more 1/4 inch tubing. This will run from connections to point A to point B, and then a couple of handful of fittings as well. We're here at our cabbage bed. You can see what we've done. We have our main line coming up, an elbow, and then it goes into our drip tape. We're going to remove the elbow and the drip tape completely, and we're going to put on this little adapter, which goes to the black poly pipe and allows us to put our 1/4 inch flexible tubing from here, loop it in, and into our bed. This way we can save this fitting because they're not super cheap, and we can use it somewhere else. There's a tool that you're going to want for this project that you may not think of at first, and that is a lighter. This drip tubing is pretty rigid. When you go to try and push this on your fitting, it's not really going to go. So use your lighter, carefully warm just a little bit of the tube here, then slide it on. As it cools, it will contract and harden and hold itself in place watertight. For the ends, there are these little plugs that you can get. They slide in, and thankfully they go in a lot easier than the drip tape start.
As you can see, we did do something a little different for the carrot, turnip, radish bed. It didn't quite work like we wanted it to, but we are going to reclaim what we bought, all the little drip emitters, and use them elsewhere. And we're going to change it up a little bit and do something different.
These little figure 8 clamps, they are a pain to use. Absolute pain. So I'm going to replace it with a better solution. Alright, do we want here? Or do we
Might
want
as well.
Here?
Yeah.
reminds me of those flexible plastic tubes that are corrugated. You swing around in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
In this garden bed, we have 6 large vegetables. This is our squash and zucchini bed. In this instance, this is a good use of those inline drippers. It would be a little bit wasteful, we feel like, to put the drip tape or drip line in there with the 6-inch spacing on emitters. With these inlines, we can put one at each individual plant. We know they will get watered and hopefully not let any other weeds grow as well. Should be better use of water.
We've got them all hooked up, and now we're ready to turn on the water and see what it looks like when it starts irrigating.
We're having a problem with these inline drip emitters, and after a little bit of research, going back to the product listing where we bought them from, they're not designed to be installed this way, even though we obviously thought they were. They're designed to be the end point that drips, not an inline connected in, out, and it drips from the green part. A little bit different from ones that we've used many years ago. So the fault's on us, we didn't understand it right. So now we're gonna see if we have any kind of T fittings or connector fittings, something here on hand to make these work and not make us have to go spend more money for something else. How good does it feel to have the irrigation finally done?
Feels really good because it actually works this time.
I'm sure the plants are very happy too.
You can already see a difference after a couple of minutes of just letting it run, that it's putting out a lot more water than the other drip tape did. So
Yes, very good. Now, in defense of drip tape, we were using it in a way that it's not exactly advertised to be used. That kind of drip tape is made to be buried. It's root irrigation, deep irrigation, and we were kind of just trying to MacGyver stuff together.
use what we had on hand.
Right.
Any of you eagle-eyed gardeners may notice that some of our plants do look a little bit yellow. We believe that is because we forgot to water it one day, and it is very dry this time of year. We have fertilized them. They have new garden soil, compost, that type thing, so we're pretty sure it's not a nutrient thing, but we are keeping an eye on it, and they will be getting a lot more thorough watering with the new irrigation system.
As a little bit of a sneak peek or a teaser, our next video is also going to be centered around irrigation and kind of removing the human factor of when it gets watered, how much water it gets, and stuff like that. It's a cool little tech video coming up. I don't know.
A new tool?
Yeah, it's a tool. We'll call it a tool. So that's coming up in our next video. There you go.
Well guys, thanks for coming along as we put irrigation in our garden. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time on the homestead.
See you guys.
Bye.
Couple of fittings, but basically blah 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 blah. That's what we've done.
So we're gonna have a little bit of drip tape and a little bit of whatever else we can find. Yeah, a little bit.
Not as easy, is it? What does he do? He's trying to find his face on camera. There we go. All right, we have our main.
Now what we do is we're gonna.
But otherwise, we're gonna fizzle. We have had some really dry weather, and it kind of just. That's what I'm. What am I saying? Too much in my head, but not enough there to
Talk.
Yeah.
So while we try to really reuse and use things, okay.
We have gone through all of our stores and boxes and everything that we have stuff. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say too much.
Listen.
You're gonna hate this, but can you say the watering thing again? Because I was watching it was going dark and dark. Third time's a charm.
I don't remember what I said.
Any of you eagle-eyed gardeners?
Oh.
There is an unspoken or what am I trying to say?
Oh. It was on my arm, and I saw its tongue out.
Can't see anything out of these things. That's better.